if you haven't already. And today we're just going to do some more subtracting of fractions. Okay, I shouldn't hear any talking in my classroom. Okay, so noisy when people talk from other classrooms, it's hard to hear. So I have to figure out how to undo my picture here. And present. Okay. So today what we're doing is we're going to do some more practicing of subtracting mixed numbers. Okay. So I'll let everybody finish getting their homework from yesterday turned in. A whole bunch of you turned it in already, and you should have probably gotten it back by now. Okay. One thing I did notice, ladies and gentlemen, was that you did the math, but several didn't answer the riddle by following the directions with the letters below. So that was kind of sad because it's a really hilarious riddle when you finish that first homework assignment. In fact, all of them are complete knee slappers. They're supposed to be able to motivate you to want to finish your math and find out what the answers to the riddles are. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to open my Smartboard app here. You are going to get out a piece of lined paper, okay? And you're going to number your paper once you fold it 1 to 15. 1 through 15. Okay? And I don't want you to have your worksheet yet because we tend to stare at the worksheet or get distracted by the problems on the worksheet and not copy down the examples step by step. Okay, we need to copy our examples so that when we're working, we can always look back. I find that sometimes when I teach a skill in class or review a skill in class, those kids who haven't written down the step-by-step way to solve the problem, when they go back to finish later in the afternoon, they're thinking, oh, I'll remember that. I can just write the answer down. They don't actually remember how to do it, and they don't have anything to look back at. So I really want you guys to fold your paper into eighths like I expect you to, and be ready to go ahead and go to the number that we need to go to and copy step for step how to solve the problem. Okay? Give you a few more moments. I have a phone call. Just a moment. If he's going to my colors room, he's got a lot of thought and he's going to my live group. And I'm pretty sure he's invited by me. He's at this moment. All right? Bye-bye. Okay, so keep working at getting that paper folded and numbered. Some of us are already done. I do have to do something for someone who's at home real quick. Yeah, but I don't know how. Right here? Yeah. But he's already a member of the class. I don't know why. Then after. Okay, so I've got that done. So we should be golden. And we're ready to begin. Okay, the number that I need you to go to, the first one we're going to go over together in class is number 1. So start on number 1 and you're going to copy the question down. So number 1, the question says this: 9 3/4. 9 3/4 subtract 4.5. Okay? So we're going to step back and we're going to think about our notes. On our notes page, well, the page about subtracting fractions, it says check for common denominators. Our first step is check for common denominators. Well, we have a denominator of 4 and a denominator of 2. So that tells me I need to fix that, right? I need to make them both be 4s. At least that's the way I would like to do it. It would be the simplest way and would be less reducing in the future, right? So I end up with this new equivalent fraction, 2/4, because I multiplied 1/2 by 2 halves, which really means 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And so anytime you multiply something by 1, you don't change the actual value. Instead, you get an equivalent fraction, right? I keep saying that over and over again. Now, the next thing I have to do is, if needed, this numerator at the top, if needed, we could go ahead and borrow or regroup, right? Do we need to? If you have $3 in the bank, can you take $1 out? You can take, if you have $3, the banker will let you take $1 out. And how many do you have then? Well, we have to do actually 3 minus 2, don't we? I sort of messed up, didn't I? But still, do we need to regroup?
Yep. No.
3 minus 2, is that doable?
Yes.
Okay, so I have 3 minus 2 is 1. I keep the 4. And 9 minus 4 is 5. Okay, so on your paper, you should have those steps written. I mean, you don't have to put the arrow if you don't want to, but everything else should be there for the problem number 1. And here's how many different ones is like that. Let's make that stop. Okay. I'm on live. Okay, we're going to skip to number 4. On number 4, we've got some bigger numbers. We have 20 and 13/16. 20 and 13/16, and I'm subtracting from that 3 1/4. What the heck does 3 1/4 mean, Mrs. Franzen? Well, whenever you have a 4 in the denominator, we would call them quarter. Okay? If you have a 2 in the denominators, you call them half. So that's just another fancy name for that. First thing I need to do is check and see if I have common denominators. That's the first step in our subtracting fractions cheat sheet notes, right? We have a 16 and we have a 4. So I would say, oh my goodness, 16 is a multiple of 4. I don't have to change both fractions. I can just simply multiply this guy by 4. And when I do that, let's use them. And when I do that, all I have to do is multiply by 1. The version of 1 I want is 4/4 because I know 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4. Now, the next thing I have to do is to check and see if I need to regroup. In other words, if I have $13 in the bank, can I take $4 away?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I do that, I end up with 9, right? 13 minus 4 is 9, and I keep my 16. Now I'm ready to do the 20 minus 3.
17.
Okay, 2 free answers. Make sure you write your work down. Okay, you'll have to watch the video, or maybe you can, after I'm done with the live, I can go back to it. I think everybody's done with number 4. Probably. I didn't hear you.
Don't forget to record.
It's recording. Okay, we're going to skip down to question number 13. 13 also has some pretty big numbers. 13 says 94 and 11/15. That's a pretty decent size mixed number, isn't it? 94 and 11/15, but it's not scary. None of these big numbers are scary. Minus 49 and 2/5. Okay, all of our fractions today are pretty easy to find common denominators for. It doesn't take a ton of extra work. Okay, notice I have a 15 and a 5, and I know that 5 times 3 will get me a common denominator to the first fraction on top. So 15 times, or 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6. That's my new equivalent fraction to 2/5. Okay? If I have $11 in the bank, can I take $6 away?
Yep.
I sure can. And what do I have? I have 5/15.
1/3. What? 1/3.
Yep,
Yeah,
I see that both of those are divisible by 5, so I do that, and I get 1/3. Very good. That's the simplified version. But I still have to take care of my whole numbers.
which is 45.
So my answer, I've had a lot of people just answer just the 1/3 part. They'll just circle this part when they're done. But they really do need to simplify the mixed number that they got, not just the fraction part. Okay, so once you're done, if you've got your mixed number and your whole number's way over here and your fraction number's way over here, please put them together. They want to stand side by side. They're buddies. These two numbers have to be side by side in your result, or it's not a correct result. Okay? So now would be a good time to go ahead and pass out the papers to the students because we have one story problem that we're going to set up in class. So go ahead and pass out the papers. So you see the riddle is, what do mountains breathe through? What do mountains breathe through? Okay. And so we're going to read the directions first before we do that last story problem together. Okay, the directions say that we do each exercise below to find your answer in the answer columns, and notice the letter next to it. You're going to look for that letter in the string of letters near the bottom of the page, and then cross it out each time it appears. So if you notice that your answer for number 1 was, what was the answer for number 1? Okay, so since it was 5 and 1/4, you're going to look for 5 and 1/4 in the answer box. Okay, what letter is next to that? So on the bottom, you can see those below the answer key, but above answer to puzzle. You're going to go ahead and cross all of those off that appear in that list of letters. You're doing that for every single one, and just like yesterday, whatever is left over is going to be the answer to your riddle. So there'll be letters left over that give you the answer. Okay, so let's look at number 15 together. Okay, pencils down and just be listening. Just put your pencils down and listen to the story problem as I read it. The maximum weight for a basketball is 22 9/10 of an ounce, right? For baseball, it's 5 1/2 ounces. And for a tennis ball, it is 2 1/16 ounces. How much heavier is a maximum weight baseball or basketball and a maximum weight baseball? Okay. So in the question part, it says, how much heavier is a maximum weight basketball? Well, what's that answer? It should be in the top part of the story problem.
22 9/10.
So circle 22 9/10. We need to know that amount to answer the question. And then find the maximum weight of a baseball.
5
1/2 ounces. So do we even need to use the 2 1/16 for a tennis ball?
No.
Absolutely not. So we do not have to worry about that third amount, right? So that basically is an example of a story problem that has way too much information. Well, not way too much, one piece of information extra. Okay? So we're not doing that one together. I just wanted you to know that you could go ahead and make sure to set up the problem with only the information you need. So on number 13, you want to take 22 and 9/10, and then you also want to take the 5 1/2.
That's 15. Yeah, we're doing it on 15, not 13. We did 13 already. Yeah, we're doing 15, not 13.
Jeez, you guys are picky.
I know.
So are we adding or subtracting those two numbers?
Subtracting.
Beautiful, right? So please don't worry about that third bit of information that you do not need. So this shouldn't take you long, and yes, you do need to show your work step by step on the lined piece of paper that you'll attach to this worksheet, okay? And please do look for the answer in the answer box and solve the riddle as well, okay? So if there's any questions, I'm going to leave the meet live until it's time for us to switch classes. But I'm going to go ahead and mute. All right. So one of us needed to see question number 1 again. Yes. 14 minus 9 is 5. So, okay.